The Dead Pixel Society podcast is brought to you by Media Clip, Advertech Printing, and Independent Photo Imagers. Welcome to the Dead Pixel Society podcast, the photo imaging industry's leading news source. Here's your host, Gary Peugeot.
Hello again, and welcome to the Dead Pixel Society podcast. I'm your host, Gary Peugeot, and today we're joined by Aayush Arora, who is the CEO and founder of FilterPixel, and he's coming to us from New Delhi, India. Hi, Aayush. Hi, how are you today?
Hi, Gary. I'm great, and I'm so excited for this. Thanks for inviting.
So, tell us a little bit about your journey into photography. We're going to get into FilterPixel later, but what was your background that got you interested in this very technical side of the imaging business?
Actually, there are multiple stories that led me into this. Not only one story, but there are a couple of situations in my life that pulled me into this kind of industry. It started with 2019 when I was just pursuing my entrepreneurship course at MIT Boston. While I just visited MIT for the first time and I was at the campus, the professor and me had nothing in common. So we started playing chess. And interestingly, there was a photographer who was taking our photos. So after the photo shoot was done and I won 2 to 3 matches, I wanted the photos right away to post on my social media. So I asked this photographer, can I get those photos which you have just taken? And out of nowhere, he started talking about how difficult it is to get those photos to a client. And the client does not understand that, and they want the photos right away. But
you took the pictures, they're digital. Why can't I have them right away?
Yeah. And he started talking about how difficult it is and how painful it is to go to the home after a photo shoot is done and then backing it up and then sorting it through, then editing it, then retouching it, then finally making a gallery. And some of that frustration was coming through that photographer. But that started like a spark. That was the first spark. That was the first light bulb moment where I was figuring out why he said that. Though I was having no idea in 2019 about this whole workflow or situation or AI. I was just a person doing a normal job, going 9 to 5 in the office, and then started a course for entrepreneurship, but I was just interested. I came back to India and I started a research project and I emailed almost 200 photographers a day. And that was not the time of ChatGPT where you can automatically write emails. You have to manually write it. So I was writing emails to photographers and asking them if it's a real problem, if it is something that they face as well. And if they really face it, can they just come on a call for 20 minutes and explain me their workflow? And I got 200 interviews like that. Most of them were from US and UK.
Right.
So that validated the problem. But I was not sure whether this is worth solving. And I was just understanding the workflows out of curiosity.
Right.
My second light bulb moment happened in my life when I was at an international conference at Germany. It was Hamburg. And I was talking on the stage. I was giving a talk. It was a big conference hall. There were a lot of people. And the same situation happened. I wanted the photos after my speaker session was done. So I chased out to the photographer and he said I should take it from the organizer. So I went to the organizer and he told me that I should find it out from the Facebook page. So when I came back to India, I went to the Facebook page and there were a lot of photos, but then there was no photo of mine.
Right.
And I didn't get any photo from there as well.
Right.
So my parents, one day asked me, because it was a big conference, it was a big hall, they wanted to see me on the stage.
Right.
And they were too emotional about that sentiment of them looking for their son on a big stage, was thing that I was not able to give them in return. And that was something I thought about, like why that happened. And why the photo was not there at the moment I needed it, while maybe the Facebook page might have that photo 2 weeks later. So scenarios like that always intrigued me. I started my photography journey I just purchased a camera in 2020 and I started taking photos like a hobbyist going here and there.
Sure.
I'm still not doing photography as a professional or something, but after doing 200 plus interviews in 2019, 2020 itself, and then from there till now, after talking to thousands of photographers, I think I understand workflows at least a bit better. Yeah. And interestingly, that all led me into this that I'm going to solve this problem. I'm going to solve the problem of delivery. I'm going to solve the problem of helping the clients getting their best shots at the time they need it rather than after the deadline is over.
So what did you focus on first? You identified the problem, right? Which was everyone was excited about digital capture because obviously you're getting the picture right away and you can see it on the back of the camera. But like it's a last mile problem. It's getting it to the person on the other side of the lens. That's the problem.
We personally was pretty curious about why it does not reach out to the person, like why it hasn't reached out to me when I was needing it. I figured out that it's like a process having multiple steps. It starts with ingesting the photos after the shoot is over, to the process of sorting it out, or some people call it culling, and then doing editing over it, and then finally creating an album out of it, which goes to the client. Nobody wants to deliver low quality photos. As a photographer, my responsibility is to make sure that my clients are happy after they see their photos. So I'm not going to rush it out. I'm not going to, deliver it quickly just because I want them to see it quicker. It needs to be quality. It's my brand. I've created it for so many years.
Right.
So the balance between quality and time and delivery is very important. And to solve the problem, we have to start with the first problem, which is photo selection. And that's what we did. 2020 to 2023, 3 years, we just focused on one single problem. How can I select my photos faster as a photographer? And nothing else. So 3 years we have given to solve one single problem. And because the problem of culling was frustration.
Right.
It was not like an interesting thing to sit in front of a computer for hours.
Yeah, you must have found out the typical wedding, right? They're shooting, 3,000 pictures, right? So if it takes them 10 seconds to review a picture, that's a lot of time.
One thing is the time. So this process of culling was not happening in a single sitting because it was boring.
Right.
If I'm clicking 3,000 shots, I'm not going to sit in one single sitting doing 3,000 shots.
Right.
It requires multiple sittings. And every time I sit, I forget what I did before.
Right.
I need my mind clarity.
Right.
If I do it in a single sitting, I will go into decision paralysis, which is like, I cannot decide which is better. And when we take burst shots, we get attached to the photo.
Sure.
So the problem is not about how to deselect or how to reject a photo. The problem is to select the best out of similar.
Right.
That's the duds, like the photos which are too bad or out of focus. It's very easy to just get rid of that. While the cameras have progressed since 2021, now we have a lot of good cameras in the market. So everyone is clicking better and better. And now we have too many duplicates and all of them are good. How do you select? That is something that is changing. And that is where it has happened from 2020 to 2023.
So what was the beginning of your data set, right? Because you weren't using existing data sets, right? You had to build this thing from the ground up. It's not like today where you can go out and license models, because back then you were early in on this. So where were you getting the information about selection and choosing pictures and all these things?
I would like to let you know that when I was in MIT doing this project and started the research project, when I came back to India, during that time, I met few photographers in the US itself after emailing. One of the photographers, and Jim Vetter, he was an amazing photographer at that time. He photographing and he's a great guy. He's a good friend. He met me in a cafe and he told me about all of that, the problem of culling and editing. Then there was another lady, her name was Irza. She's also based out of San Francisco. We had a meetup in a cafe where she explained me her workflow. These people became the part of the early cohort or early community, and they shared their photos with us, and we shared our software with them for feedback. So initially, our initial idea was to use their photo as a testing set.
Right.
And we created a community and we asked them to share their photos in exchange of feedback and getting the software. And that's how the initial data came in.
Right.
And that helped training, that helped building a strong community, which really believed in the product, which really want the product to improve. And we found ways where we don't need the data from the customer. We can synthetically generate data, which means we don't need data which is actual photos. We can take data from internet, which is open source, which is available to all to use. Somebody was saying that, hey, this does not work for me because, and they had a reason. So we asked them, can you share your gallery with us? Would you mind sharing these photos? Can we train this for you? If you don't mind, can you use these photos for training? And a lot of people agree. A lot of people agreeing to use that data to improve the product in exchange of the software. And we did that initially. So I think the trust is very important and the transparency is very important. We were very transparent about the process of how we use data. And we created very strong privacy policies at the very start of the company to set up a foundation where we are clear about how do we use the data of photos. And we cannot train a model without their consent. So if a photographer is willingly giving their photos, they're part of a community. They're saying, hey, use my data, train these models. I want to improve it for myself. Obviously, sure. But we cannot use the data according to our privacy policies if they don't agree to our terms and conditions.
So it's not one of those things where, let's say I'm using the FilterPixel platform. By participating in it, there's no little checkbox in the terms of service that lets me train on the data. I have to actually opt in for that.
So in the terms and conditions, it's pretty clear that you can ask us to remove your entire data. You can just request a complete data. There's a clear retention policy, like till how much time we hold the data of the customer. It also talks about in what format we are going to store the data and where we are going to store the data. So for example, we do not do anything to the actual files. We don't even store the actual files. We store an encrypted version of a file. For example, if you are shooting a raw photo, it's approximately 30 to 50 MB, but what we need is just 50 KB of information from that photo to train a model.
Right.
So we don't put 50 MB photo on anywhere. We just extract what we need, training purposes. And then for that also, we have a clear retention policy that after a few days in our privacy policies, these photos will be automatic. And if you wanted to delete these photos right away, you can rightly opt in right away, we will delete all the data.
Okay. So hopefully you're getting around some of the suspicion people have with the AI piece is very upfront.
And I think if you are very clear about your your policies and how do you handle data, it does not matter whether you are doing it on cloud or whether you are doing it offline. What you need to be clear about is how do you handle it. Because even if you are processing photos offline, there's so many software in the world that process photos offline and people are so happy about it that because the software does not need internet, my data is safe. No, not true at all. Not true at all. What is safe? The definition of safe is the privacy policy. The definition of safe is to understand how that company handles data, find out the answers of the questions with the company before you opt in for them, rather than just believing the idea of offline or being is better than being on cloud. And yes, to come back to your original question of getting data and collecting data, because every AI model needs to improve with data, we really ask our customers to share their data with us, with their consent, if they really want to improve the AI and they see real results after the improvement.
So continuing the product development, so if you got into culling, but you've added a bunch of other features too. Now, before we get into those features, what are some of the things the culling model looks at, right? Because you got closed eyes, you got blurry faces, but it even gets into expression and some of the emotional content as well, correct?
Here is what we did different after 2020 in 2026 beginning, which we released a few months ago and which is new. Till 2026, we were having this model learn about the expression and closed eyes, accidental blinks, the blurry photos. We had a lot of feedback from our customers who were talking about that it does not select the way they would like it to select. And when we went into calls and when we talked with users, why they felt that way, we understood that because of the type of shooting that they are doing, the criteria of selection changes.
Right.
So if I'm doing a wedding, my selection criteria include moments, storytelling, positions, artistic photos, creativity around it. Obviously, there are some technical quality checks like blinks and blur, which are very basic. But if you just compare wedding with sports or schools, the criteria of selections of sports are not similar at all like weddings. For
Right.
sports, the criteria are peak action moments
Right.
where there is an action happening. The expression on the face.
Or there may
needs
not
to
even be a face, right?
Exactly. And sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. So for an AI algorithm to be very generic, like all other software in the market, and obviously like us in 2025, when we were also trying to solve the same problem in the same way like others, we were also creating a basic AI culling algorithm, which looks for blinks and expression and the exposure, and it looks for blurry. But in 2026, the first thing we changed about how the AI sees a photo is to make sure that it's different for different genre. So you have different criteria of selection of photography. And the second thing we changed is we made this entire process transparent, which means you can see on which criteria this AI has selected or rejected a photo with different scores. So you have the complete transparency over the process. And it's not like a black box anymore. It's not, I have selected 200 photos for you, but you figure it out yourself how they're selected.
Can the user impose their storytelling style, if you will, within the platform and say, listen, I'm more of a romantic, dreamy kind of person for a wedding picture? And because that's where I think would be an interesting opportunity.
Here where the world is going to move, and that's what we believe in. We believe that people will come on the platform and they will have their own way of thinking on how I want to create or how I want to curate, I would say.
Right. Your own curation style, if you will.
Yes. And they will define their curation style. And that's where the world is moving. We figured out that we are getting a lot of queries from photographers who are shooting high volume, whether it's sports, whether this is schools, whether this is weddings, whether this is concerts, whether this is community events. And these people, or whether this is conferences,
right?
And these people are under a deadline. They want to deliver the same day. They want to deliver it today, but they don't want to deliver bad quality.
That's because if you're being hired for a job and you're being paid, hopefully, thousands of dollars to shoot an event, you don't want to provide substandard pictures to your clients just for the sake of expediency, which is a challenge because you always hear that in the professional photographer community where you have the bride saying, oh, just give me the raw files. I just want the raw files for the socials. And it says, no, please, no, I don't want to do that because it's their pictures, right? It's their artwork that they don't want to have out in an unfinished manner.
And that's where the problem is. When we were trying to solve it with culling, which is the name of the new algorithm of 2026, which does this genre-wise selection and gives the scores and the reason, we got a lot of queries from photographers, which were not exactly wedding, but they were high volume. So they were doing different parts of the photography. For example, there was a photographer who does this community events, and they had this problem of shooting so many photos, and there was no software that was working for them.
Right.
Put the photos, we will figure out the blink shots, we will figure out the blurry shots, and we will reject them. We will find the duplicates, and we will pick one from every duplicate set. Everyone was the same. And there was no way that the photographer doing this community event was agreeing on the criteria of blurring and bling and all of that. So things like that, we defined a criteria genre in our app where people can choose which style or which genre, which profile they want to use. And based on that, the entire experience of the app changes because your criterias, your selections, it's very different as a photographer from a
Sure.
different photographer who is shooting a different style. So yeah, this has made the entire culling very effective. And we had the same question from everyone while you cancel. And everybody told about, I have to go through the photos again after it does the culling. So I don't think it makes sense for me to purchase or pay for a software service if I have to do the job again. It made sense. And now these people are coming back. Now these people are subscribing again. And that gave us the confidence that this is the right direction.
So how much in the editing sphere have you gotten into, right? There's the culling piece, which you think you've got down to high level, but now there's also the editing piece, right? Where people are starting to apply some AI into cropping, color grading, blemish removal, and just basic stuff, not high-end stuff, but maybe stuff that would just be routine type things. How much have you integrated those type of features into that?
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Photo retailers, energize your sales with ShareMe Chat, the proven texting platform. Using chat to text on your website keeps your customers connected and buying. See us at Pro and IPI to find out why dealers using ShareMe Chat close more sales without adding staff. Find out more at shareme.chat.
So it's very obvious that if we just limit ourselves to culling, we still will not be able to meet our goal of letting people deliver the same day or
Right.
next day. So we need to definitely take our roadmap to the next level. So we incorporated editing into the picture, but we wanted to incorporate editing only till the point where we would automate the redundant part of editing, not touch the creative process.
Right.
So because as a founder or even as a person who understands AI from the depth, I believe that AI has a limitation. And that
Right.
limitation is that it can do redundant tasks pretty well, but it will waste your time if you do creativity with it. And we don't believe in the future where AI is replacing anyone.
If you outsource the creativity piece, those skills are going to atrophy.
And we believe that in editing, we limited ourselves to a certain part of editing. So we do all of the basic stuff that you see in sort of Lightroom automatically. So for example, when you think about color correction, when you think about white balance, when you think about HSL, color grading, all of that, crop, straighten of a
Right.
photo, the basics of what can help you deliver the same day, we cover them all. Like, we
Right.
don't want you to transform the photo. That's not our job. If you're thinking about a scenario in a conference, what does a conference or event photographer want? I just have taken, photographs of a speaker, and my organizer is going to ask me the photos in an
Right.
hour or so. How I'm gonna give that batch to them right away? I can just open our software, put the photos in, get the culling done, get the basic editing applied. They can also train their own profile if they want,
Right.
but they can also use the profiles which are already on the platform very quickly, and then they can deliver.
So if you're looking at, let's say, an event, right? Let's say, for example, I'm having a conference. I hire a photographer, they're using FilterPixel. A lot of times with those conferences, they want to watermark the images with the conference name and all. Is that possible? Is that something you're working on? Or, I mean,
So we wanted to incorporate that feature in the last quarter. We are still taking a lot of feedback from photographers in terms of what kind of watermarks will be or help. It has become so advanced that removing a watermark is very easy.
I'm not
So
talking about
we
removing.
made
I'm talking about, let's say I put on a conference and I want to have the title of the conference at the bottom of every image.
Yeah.
So people know that they went to that.
Yes, so we call it frames.
Okay.
It's a separate product that we have created in FilterPixel right now. But if somebody wants it, we definitely have it. The way we do it right now is, I can talk about that, but it's more of a separate thing that we do where people can just put the photos and create a live gallery out of it with proper framing and proper watermarking, and can share a QR code with their clients.
Sure.
The clients can just scan the QR code, take a selfie, get their photos, or even if they don't want to take a selfie because of privacy issues, they can see the entire photo gallery and can post directly on social media. So it's a great tool for a conference or an event. It integrates pretty well with what we have built so far with culling and editing. Our next goal in the next quarter is to bring out culling, editing, and this tool together in one single place where a conference photographer or an event photographer or a wedding photographer or even a sports photographer can create galleries where a client can find themselves very quickly on the same day of the event, and all the photos look selected and highly polished, which was the problem statement I faced.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
it took me 6 years. It took me 6 years, to be honest.
Again, it sounds easy, but then when you think about it, there's a lot of hurdles that need to be overcome, a lot of decision points all along those periods, other than just give me this picture that I want, right? It's finding the picture, selecting the picture, editing the picture, putting it in a certain place, making sure there's rights attached, because a lot of times with the metadata has to include the rights to the images and all these other things. It's not a simple thing.
I would 100% agree. There are so many workflows in which people use or can use a certain product. And there are so many different ways in which someone do their post-production.
Right.
I have seen users doing culling in Photoshop. One photo, loading a photo can take a minute.
Right.
And I have seen people doing it in Photo Mechanic. I have seen people doing it in Lightroom, Adobe Bridge. I have seen people doing it everywhere, and there's so many tools doing it manually, even in the file browser, to make sure that they understand and we are able to educate them that they need a dedicated photo culling software to bring back the productivity in their life. It took us 3 years.
Right.
Understanding all of their workflows, mastering every particular part of how they color it, how different ways in which they can bringing all those features in and making sure that the community is feeling this is home. After that, bringing editing into it was not difficult because the foundation was set. So now pictures are coming quite quickly, but initially it took a while for sure.
It's almost a good news, bad news situation. The good news is you can take 3,000 pictures at a wedding because it's digital imaging and the cameras are great and they're 20 megabyte files, like you said, and that's great. The bad news is you've got to look at 3,020 megabyte images to look at your wedding and have it delivered within 12 hours, right?
Not anymore.
Yeah,
But
the original premise was, if everything's great, digital solves a lot of problems. That created a lot more problems.
I think I read it somewhere in a book that if you are solving a problem with a solution, the solution that you create always creates a new problem to solve.
Absolutely.
Even if digital came into the picture, they created a new problem, and then mirrorless came into the picture, they created one more problem. So opportunities are everywhere. I think what's important right now is we keep our ears open, we keep our eyes open, and we keep hearing from our community, which we always did and we always wanted to. We keep asking people questions, we keep asking feedback on the software. We make sure that we live very close to our community, and that feedback is the only thing that really helped us to grow in these 6 years. And I'm so thankful for the early cohort of photographers who believed in us when we were nothing and who really thought that this can become a big thing. And they wanted to they were thinking it like a project and they wanted to be a part of a project.
Right.
And that's
Yeah.
how it grew.
So let's walk us through a little bit the product itself, right? There's a software component, then there's a monthly pricing model, right? So how does that work for a photographer who's interested in trying this out?
We have subscriptions, so we don't charge per photo. We have fixed subscriptions in which we make sure that people are able to cull, people are able to edit and deliver. We don't believe in costing them money per photo, but we wanted to make them sure that we deliver high quality value. So the deep culling that we introduced, it's a highly advanced system of culling, which is genre wise. So what we did is in every subscription plan, we added few shoots for free for deep culling. So while the AI culling is unlimited and it's free, like in every plan, it's unlimited. You can use it by paying a subscription and you don't need to pay per photo while it's editing or AI culling. The deep culling is based on how many shoots you want to purchase. So even if you are not sure whether you need it or you don't need it, what makes it great is the flexibility where you can purchase a very basic plan, let's say $20 a month, and it covers approximately unlimited AI culling, unlimited AI editing, very good. Plus, it also gives you 2 deep cull shoots a month, which is genre-specific, highly accurate, polished selections, where you don't need even to re-review it, which is the problem that everyone faces if the AI is just looking for the basic thing selection process. And then you can upgrade it by just paying per shoot. So instead of paying per photo, you can just say, hey, I just need 2 shoots a month, but maybe I need 1 more shoot. So you can just pay an additional shoot and you can be on the same plan.
And is Lightroom or Capture One required, or can you use it as a standalone?
So it can be used as a standalone application. You don't need Lightroom. You don't need anything to use it. But we have an integration with all of the industry software. So if you are a Lightroom user, if you have a pre-set up Lightroom workflow, it's very easy. You can select inside FilterPixel, you can edit inside FilterPixel, and you can click a button and it can take you into your software like Lightroom, or it can take you into Capture One, and it transfers all of your metadata into that application. So the entire data that FilterPixel creates for you, whether that is star rating, color rating, whatever, it goes directly into Lightroom with a click. So you don't need to worry about learning anything new. You are in Lightroom, what FilterPixel did is it does your job of a mundane task or a boring task. It just did that for you. And then here's the creativity. You can bring it on in Photoshop, Lightroom, whatever creativity solution you want to use.
So where can people go if they want to try this out to get more information about FilterPixel and what you guys do?
Yeah, they can definitely go to filterpixel.com. They can also search FilterPixel on Google. We have very active community on Facebook. They can go and search FilterPixel on Facebook and find our private Facebook community. Join it. They can raise a request. They can just let us know that they're coming to your podcast while they join the community. And we would definitely let them in. They can all our lives that we keep doing inside our community to make sure everybody understand the workflow and everybody understand how to use it. So we do a lot of education. We do a lot of classes. It updates monthly. So we keep releasing new updates. We keep learning, keep releasing. And filterpixel.com is the all way to go.
Well, thank you for your time. Learned a lot. This is very interesting. Thank you so much for your time.
I'm so glad I got a chance to be here. And thank you so much for inviting me here.
Thank you for listening to the Dead Pixel Society podcast. Read more great stories and sign up for the newsletter at www.thedeadpixelssociety.com.